Do I believe Jazz Chisholm is an all-star? No. Now, has he had a good season since he's come back from his injury? He's been pretty good. I mean, he's been one of the hottest hitters in baseball in the American League, especially in the infield. He's been hit. What is he? Since he's been back, I think he's hitting over 330. He's been unbelievable. So this is something that we want to see from Jazz since he's come to the Yankees. And really, when he was traded at the trade deadline last year, a lot of questions, is he going to handle New York? How is he going to handle New York? Well, he's handled it pretty well since he's come back from an injury. Now, can he do it in the playoffs? Could he do it when the Yankees need him the most? That is the question. But I'm not going to take shots at Jazz for what he's done over the last couple of weeks. He's been very hot. So usually when you're a hot hitter, the fans are going to love you. And Jazz has been out in the open with his personal life. He comes out there, he speaks to the press, he's all over podcasts, and he loves to wear his thick, beautiful chain that he wears on the baseball field during game, before and after games. So I love his personality somewhat. I just don't like how he likes to throw his team under the bus when the team is not playing well, and he loves to praise the team when they're playing well. So I want to see more of his game develop as a Yankee, but as we all know, over the next couple of weeks and really the next couple of months, we'll know what Jazz Chisholm is, and that's really what he does in the playoffs. The Yankees are going to be a playoff team. I know the Yankees are not hot. They're not playing very good baseball. We saw them this weekend against the Mets. We saw them against the Blue Jays, getting their butts whipped by the Blue Jays. So they have not been good. The only two players that have actually been hitting is Jazz Chisholm and the one and only Aaron Judge. That's it. And that's the problem right now with the New York Yankees. It's pretty impressive when you think about the Detroit Tigers. The two best infielders right now, especially in the middle of the infield in the American League, is Javier Baez and Gleyber Torres when it comes to the bats. So just think about that. When you think about Detroit, and nobody would have thought Detroit was going to be as good as they have been so far this season. They're the best team in baseball. They have the best record in baseball, and it's impressive. And what Scrible's done has just been so impressive. I mean, the guy throws ultra hard. He throws over 103. I think he hit 104 one time this year. So the guy throws really, and he threw that, by the way, in the 9th inning. This guy pitched a full, and at the final batter, the final hitter, the final strike.
It was his last pitch.
Yeah, his final strike, he threw 103 miles per hour. It's very, very impressive when you see a pitcher throw over 80-something pitches, almost 90 pitches, and then strike out the side and do it with 103 mile per hour fastball. So I expect Scribble to be the starter for the American League. There were a couple of snubs that really stuck out to me. And the one guy that a lot of fans are wondering why he didn't make the playoff, he didn't make the All-Star team, that's Juan Soto. Fernando Tatis, he's been up and down all season long. Remember, Tatis is a guy that used steroids, and a lot of people don't like him. But Tatis has been a really, really good outfielder since he's been moved from shortstop to the outfield. And he's a good bat. Now, is he hitting better than Juan Soto? No. Juan Soto has been unbelievable in the last 3 weeks. He's been the hottest hitter for the New York Mets. What I don't like about Juan Soto all season long is he didn't play in the beginning of the season as hard as he's played over the last 3 weeks. And I think that cost him a snub. Now, that doesn't mean he doesn't make the All-Star team, because how many weeks are left before the All-Star game?
It's next week.
All right, so there could be injuries. There could be guys that are going to back out at the last minute. If anybody backs out, Juan Soto is going to be moved into that lineup. He's going to be moved as probably a bench player or a reserve player. So I expect Juan Soto, one way or another, to make the team. I know everybody thinks Freddie Freeman shouldn't be the starter. He made the team, and he's the starter. A lot of people think Pete Alonso deserves to be the starter of the National League. And Pete Alonso's been unbelievable. You saw what he did against the Yankees over the weekend. He beat the hell out of the Yankees, smashed the ball all over the field in Citi Field. Why are you crying? You got Juan Soto. You got a team right now that's as good. I know right now over the last couple of weeks they haven't been as good as they were in the beginning of the season, but they're still going to make the playoffs. There's a very good chance that the Mets could get hot, or they make a trade at the trade deadline that can give an additional pitching arm that they're going to desperately need moving forward. Because as we spoke about this, Joba, before the season started, the Mets put all their eggs in one basket, and that was Juan Soto's basket, which was $768 million worth, and they didn't didn't put it in the most important part when it comes to their pitching. They could have went after Max Fried. They could have went after some of these better pitchers that were available in the offseason. There were two of them that went to the Dodgers. They had a chance to land one of these pitchers. Instead, they put all their eggs in Juan Soto's basket, and I believe, Joba, that cost the Mets an opportunity to really take a long lead, an early long lead in the National League, where maybe at the All-Star break, no matter how bad the Mets have played over the last couple of weeks, everybody would have been chasing them.
You knew what you were going to get from Soto. You're going to get great at-bats. You're going to get, he doesn't give away, free outs. He's going to have a 1-to-1 ratio usually on walks to strikeouts. He's going to have an OPS upwards of, 900 to 1,000. Towards the end of the year, it'll be interesting to see how his home run numbers translate, because he's at 21 right now.
Right.
And he hit 41, if I recall, last year at Yankee Stadium,
which was his career high.
I'd like to see the splits between home and away last year. I didn't really delve into that too much, but I mean, there's a lot. I can see why, obviously he, as a snub, his numbers didn't start off great, and I think that obviously kind of hurt him. But I mean, obviously being in New York and having that fanfare, and in the last 3 weeks to a month, he's obviously been a different player. The Soto shuffle came back a little bit, that swagger where, sometimes that happens where, you come into it and, you forget what made you successful, because everybody's like, doesn't look like he's having fun. He's not doing the Soto shuffle. And then when he kind of, I don't know if did a self-reflect or a reboot or whatever you want to call it, where he's like, all right, this made me successful. People like that. It is who I am, and that's the kind of player I am.
Freddie Freeman won a championship last year. Freddie Freeman has been the best first baseman in baseball for the last 10 years, and fans have a love fest for him. Those Dodger players, there's a lot of love with those. Shohei Ohtani, you say whatever you want. Since he's gotten on the mound, since he's gotten a chance to throw the ball, he's throwing the ball pretty hard. His pitching is starting to find the strike zone. He's starting to look like the old Shohei Ohtani before he tore his UCL. Now, I don't know if Shohei Ohtani will ever be the same as a pitcher. We all know what he can do with his bat. He's been sensational, really. The last month and a half, he's been the hottest hitter in baseball. I mean, if you look at his numbers, they're unbelievable. He's stealing bases again, and you expect Shohei Ohtani to just get better and better as the season progresses, because I believe the Dodgers are going to get healthier, their pitching's going to get healthier, and that's really been the story right now in the National League. It's not the fact that the Dodgers aren't the best team in the National League. The fact is the Dodgers have been the unhealthiest team in the National League.
There's a lot of other dudes that aren't names that are having great years, like Suzuki from the Cubs. It sucks he's behind Ohtani because he has 25 homers and 77 RBIs.
Yeah, he was one of the biggest ones. I think a lot of the outfielders, I think in general, George Springer was another one too that was a pretty big snub, having a very good bounce back year in Toronto. And
yeah, he's in 281 with 16 and 53. He's got 10 stolen bases, almost a 900 OPS.
Why is anybody crying about that? Why is everybody crying about snubs? Because if I was any of these players, I'm enjoying my family. I'm going to Hawaii. I'm going to a Cayman Island. I don't care if I'm playing in the All-Star game. Who cares if they're a snub? They get a chance to spend time with their family for a week or 2 weeks, where they don't have to go and play in those games or put their bodies on the line just for the fans. I think I'm just want to rest and give an opportunity. Remember, there's 162 games, Joba. We talk about this all the time, and you don't really get a chance to spend it with your family. Why would you want to go to the All-Star game when you have a chance to spend it, during the next week, 2 weeks, where you could spend it at home with your family?
There's multiple reasons why. First, it's an honor. Second of all, it helps your contract. Third of all, you make more money. And when you go in, now you're a 4-time All-Star. You're this, and then that helps bolster your number of getting paid. So, yeah, some people, they like to – well, and it used to be you could get out of it and say you're not going to play. Now you don't have that option. They nixed that probably it was probably 8-10 years ago, because guys were like, yeah, I'm going to go to the All-Star game, but I'm not doing anything.
You're going to get credit for it and do nothing. Yeah.
Yeah. Then you'd still get the bonus. You'd still get all the perks. You just didn't play. And you have to be hurt now. Or like if you're selected as a pitcher, you still go, but obviously like Scooble, he started yesterday. So it'll be interesting to see kind of how they play that off. I would doubt that he's going to start it, because then that'll give him like a week. but you never know. And we've seen how it's come to bite people in the ass sometimes. Remember when Brad Penny started? He had that great first start, threw every pitch at 100 and couldn't get anybody out in the second half. So,
Joba, Juan Soto made his money. So you think Juan Soto cares that he was snubbed? He made $768 million. So I don't think he cares if he's in the All-Star game or not.
Yeah, but I mean, it just depends. Like, to be an All-Star is to be an All-Star. I don't care. Does he care? I don't know. That's I guess you'd have to ask him that. But yeah, it's something to, to be proud of, to be in that situation. And it's still kind of weird because I remember a year, and it was right after we won the World Series in 2015 with the Royals. Omar Infante was hitting 189 as a second baseman. He was leading the AL in vote gets.
Yeah, I think that was a weird year. That was where the Royals and Cubs were ballot stuffing that whole year. And Addison Russell was an all-star starter at shortstop for no reason. His numbers were very league average.
Yeah, it's nuts. And it's so, I mean, and there's some teams that are so bad they have to have one representative. So it's, you're kind of stuck on
That's
who you
not the
get.
case this year, though, because the Pirates representative is Skeens. Obviously, the Rockies representative is Hunter Goodman, who's a very good young offensive catcher.
No, I mean, but they're not taking more. They're going to have at least one, and obviously Skeens, and they're going to have one player that's deserving of making it. And I mean, it's like I said, lesser names like Junior Caminero from the Rays.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
he's got 21 homers and 57 steaks, and he's at an 800 OPS. So there's a lot of choices, but I think too it comes down to the likability and some of these other names. Like Andrew Abbott is not a name that people know, but he's 7-1 with 15 starts for the Reds with a 2.15 ERA. Not a big name. Another guy, Joe Ryan, has 18 starts. He's 84 with a 2.7, but he's with the Twins, so it's not the sexiest thing when you're in those smaller markets. I would reverse it if this was me. Like, let the players decide who the starters are and still keep the fans involved, but then let them do the subs, because then it's going to be their favorite players. That would make more sense to me, of having the players pick the starters and then have the fans, because now then you get more guys that he's a fan favorite, but the ones that are going to play, because obviously the starters aren't playing the whole game because the game isn't like it used to be where whoever won, they got home field advantage in the World Series.